consider this an honor.
Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7 now today. Got another first impressions for you guys. That's right, this time around, we're going to take a look at Rinak, and boy oh boy does she have a fantastic design. The artifact Wind Rider coming to life here in the form of a playable unit. Now, a lot of people have been anticipating her, right? Her animations look absolutely amazing. Look at that. It's so goofy, but so cool at the same time. So let's go ahead and take a look at what her stat lines are. So here we go. Rinak is going to be a 5-star Earth Elemental Thief unit, and she has incredibly, and I mean incredibly, high base speed. 129 base speed is the maximum amount that you can get. And yeah, there's only 2 other units in the game that have that speed, and that's Ron and K-Ron. Ron is infamously known for being incredibly fast and incredibly devastating in cleave teams, but the thing is, Ron is actually not the same star sign as Rinak is going to be, so she is actually going to be a Taurus thief, and there are a couple of Taurus thieves that we can talk about that can be compared to her, right? But unfortunately they're 4 stars. One of whom, you guys may know here, Assassin Coley, who actually used to be really good as kind of a speed contester unit at some point, always kind of overshadowed by Assassin Sid, sadly, but Assassin Coley is a unit here that is comparable because she's a 4-star lower base speed, 126 base speed. Same with Emma Rin. If you guys didn't know, she used to be a very popular speed contester back in the day as well. 126 base speed as a 4-star unit, that's incredible, right? But if we want to take a look at 5-star stats, then of course we have to look no further than Ron. So going to Ron over here, he is an Ares thief, but 129 base speed means that you can actually go ahead and put some gear on him to test out, you know, how fast your Rinak's gonna be after you fully gear her. But we'll come back to gear later. For right now, let's go ahead and continue with her stats and previews, right? So aside from just having incredibly good base speed, she also has really good attack. And you're gonna notice that her star sign, the Taurus star sign, doesn't have any crit chance or crit damage imprints because she doesn't need any. So let's go ahead and jump into the skills here. Skill 2 is pickpocketing, where she swiftly attacks the enemy, dispelling all buffs before decreasing combat readiness by 30% and inflicting pilfer. She grants increased attack to herself for 2 turns, and then she grants herself an extra turn, right? So she can soul burn this with 20 souls to ignore effect resistance, right? The ignore effect resistance will ignore the effect res for dispelling all the buffs and pushing the combat readiness back by up to, sorry, I said 30, but it's up to 40% post skill enhancement here. So that is quite a bit. For reference, Zio's S3 pushes back the opponent by 30% combat readiness. So Rinak is gonna be pretty insane already right off the bat, right? Even without the soul burn though, you will be able to gain the effects of pilfer. So pilfer decreases the attack, health, and defense by 20% of the opponent that this is inflicted on, and it grants spoils to the attacker. This can only be applied to heroes, so you can't use this in PvE, and it remains even after dying. So that means if you, kill off a unit, you take away, their attack, health, and defense by 20%. If they get revived by like Destina, Ruel, or whoever, they're still gonna lack the whole 20% chunk of all their stats there. That's actually quite insane. This is unaffected by effect resistance and whether or not the attack hits. So if you wanted to, you can go for evasion units, right? You can also go for high resist units, make them way squishier, right? Losing 20% of your health and defense is insane. And if you're attacking a DPS, losing 20% of that attack stat, also insane. Keep in mind that these 3 stats, the main stats that you'll see, right, for left side pieces, weapon, helmet, and chest piece, these are all still the main stats that people scale with for damage. So this is good against attack scaling damage dealers, HP scaling bruisers, and defense scaling units, especially so with the RTA Frenzy that is currently in play, right, for the current season. So this is insane. Not only that though, Spoils is a buff that she grants herself based on Pilfer. So she increases her attack, health, and defense by 20% every time you pilfer someone, right? And this can stack up to 4 times. Now, obviously, upon her death, she dispels pilfer from all enemies. They get all their stats back, which means you really gotta keep her safe. You definitely want to protect her as much as possible, right? I mean, just by design already, you look at her and she's someone that must be protected, especially if you're, you know, reading the story. It's kind of sad, but yeah, definitely try to protect her because you really want that pilfer debuff and you want to stack it up. Is it realistic to get it to stack up to 4 times? You can. She does have pretty good turn cycling. This skill actually has pretty low cooldowns as well. 3 turns right here, as you can see, right? You can't reduce skill cooldowns here, but she grants an extra turn, which essentially is a -1 cooldown, right? Kind of insane for just a single skill. Keep in mind, this is only the 2nd skill, okay? And it's also really cool because her skill works thematically, right? You see here, she steals and then she gains, right? And you see all the coin animations as well. Really nice little touch there. Really a huge fan of that. Skill 3 is a clumsy finish where she will nimbly attack the enemy, penetrates the target's defense, but cannot trigger a critical hit. This is insane. Building a super fast damage dealer that does not need to crit saves you so much stats, guys. This is huge. Not rely on crit saves you so much that you can put into attack. You can put into defense and HP as well. Keep that in mind. You don't need crit damage either at all. So no crit rate, no crit damage. Just build attack, HP, and defense. You can build her pretty bulky, which can help her survive. The damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's speed, so you obviously want to build her as fast as possible. And after attacking, she triggers a security sensor by mistake. This will dispel all buffs from herself and then inflict stun to herself for 1 turn. And then she inflicts 7,000 fixed damage on all enemies. My guys, this is crazy. A 7,000 fixed... MLK-Ron is in shambles right now. For him needing to charge up to inflict fixed damage. Meanwhile, Rinak just come here, S2, go into an S3 with an attack buff, by the way. Inflict 7,000 fixed damage to everyone. This, it's already so good. The ignores effect resistance is actually funny because this skill doesn't have a debuff for the opponent. It's the stun for yourself, so you can't resist your own stun here, right? So it's not like you can cheese this by building a super high effect res Rinak, and then you're like, oh, I get hit by the stun. What you could do, though, is you could have a unit that puts immunity onto Rinak, and if you're able to do that, then you won't be affected by the stun. Problem is, Rinak is so fast, and you typically want to open S2 into an S3, which means, yeah, you're probably going to lose that even if you build on an immunity set, you're going to lose that, right, once you take that extra turn. So do keep that in mind. It's going to be hard to kind of play around this. Even so, though, we'll talk about a way that she has a way to kind of mitigate this built into her artifact, right? So yeah, that's her skill 3. It looks pretty nice, and it's really great. Again, just like her S2, this is very thematic. Just look at the animation, right? Absolutely amazing here. Good damage. And then boom, trigger, stun. And yeah, look at that. Just one-shotting that Emma Hua-Young, which is really impressive. Emma Hua-Young has, by the way, a lot of bulk, right? With her defense scaling off of her attack. Alright, Rinak's skill 1, Vital Point Slash, where she attacks the enemy with a dagger. This also penetrates the target's defense, but cannot trigger a critical hit. Both their S1 and S3 are really good, ignoring the defense of your opponents, right? And her damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's speed. So a very basic attack here. No, like, increased combat readiness or anything like that. Just straight up damage, penetrates defense, we're good. And her skill enhancements are also really straightforward. Just more attack, just more damage dealt. And yet it actually does a good chunk of damage here. As you can see, that was on a miss, right? And she's dealing almost 5,800 damage, which is crazy. Keep in mind, she's pilfered 2 people, but that's besides the point here. Yeah, Rinak looking pretty nice so far. Next up, we have her artifact, where it's discreet hands. She can't keep her hands off of these goodies that she sees out there. So while she's pickpocketing, right, she does grant herself increased attack. Now at plus 15, which is, you know, typically what most people will have, just 1 copy of the artifact, you will have increase attack by 15%, which is good. Attack is where all her damage comes from. You want to increase as much as possible. She's not getting any crit damage multipliers or anything like that, right? So attack is the way to go. You'll get 15% attack at plus 15, and then at the end of the turn, when the caster has a debuff, she'll increase her combat readiness by 15 to 20%. If you have a plus 15 artifact, it will increase it by 17.5%, and then it will grant herself stealth for 2 turns. Oh, sorry, 15 to 30%, my bad. Yeah, from 15 to 30%, which means you're granting yourself, what, something like 22.5% combat readiness, so that is incredible, right? You're jumping up pretty much about a fifth to a fourth of your combat readiness bar, right? And that's really good. And then that stealth for 2 turns helps her a ton. Stealth mitigates AoE damage by 50%, right, which is very nice, and it also makes it so you can't get hit by single target damage dealers, which is also really nice. So Rinak is looking really solid all around. Perfectly crafted kit, and she actually has something that I really wanted to see for a long time, which is units that just self-debuff, right? You'll just inflict debuffs on yourself, and you can actually spin it into a way that is beneficial for your units too, right? You can couple this with certain like Soul Weaver artifacts as well. You can also use units like Infinite Rise of the Cadies with her, which can help cleanse the stun, right? Can also help you push up her combat readiness, still gain stealth. You get the barrier as well to keep her nice and protected. So it's looking pretty good. I love the animations here. All right, so yeah, she's gonna be coming out on May 1st, so it's gonna be a little whiles away, a couple weeks away, but it's all right. She will come eventually, okay? And speaking of eventually, I know I haven't talked about ML Arunka's preview yet, so we'll be talking about that in the coming days as well, so stay subscribed if you want to hear more about her. Okay, so now we've come to the point in the video where we should go and talk about what sets she is good on, and thankfully for us, she's a 129 base speed unit, which means if you're building her, you're probably just gonna be slapping on speed gear. So speed set is the way to go, obviously. When you're going for speed set here, the offset piece that you're going to go for really depends on what you need. Because you can ignore resistance with her, there's no real need to build effectiveness. You can definitely build effectiveness to get that combat readiness pushback on her S3 and to get the full buff dispel, right? That can be useful. However, I don't think it's really necessarily the way to go, right? She already penetrates defense, so you don't really need a penetration set either. It's not going to do anything. You already fully ignore your opponent's defense. And defense and HP sets are actually not bad for going for bulk. If you want some bulk, that could be okay. Immunity could maybe. I mean, there's no real reason to run it unless you decide to not S2 at the start of the match and you open up with an S3 instead. I guess that could be a way to avoid the stun. I'm pretty sure the stun would come before you end your turn, which means before your immunity set vanishes. So it might be a possibility that needs, you know, some testing and just the overall, just taking a look at your gear. I wouldn't prioritize immunity set just for that, like go for faster builds, like most likely, but I'll put it in here just in case. Another good 2-set piece that you can go for is a torrent set, which can increase the damage that you deal. Just keep in mind, you're gonna be losing a chunk of your HP with the torrent set here. It's okay though, because Rinak's Pilfer manages to grab her a bunch of HP and defense and attack from your opponents, so it shouldn't be too much to worry about. It will significantly increase the damage that you deal though, so this might be something to look into. But again, it depends on your speed pieces, right? So you can also like not go for 2-set pieces and just go for any offset piece that you have that's fast. For example, if I sort by speed here, if I go to the first piece here, might be a decent Rinak piece, right? No crit damage, just speed and just attack. So it could be pretty good. So if you have offset pieces like this, it can definitely be useful. Okay, so yeah, those are the sets that I would recommend, and now let's go ahead and try to build a Rinak that's decently fast. It's weird because you don't really have too many units that are fast that don't want crit and crit damage but also DPSs. So you might not have the perfect gears laying around. but we can definitely work with what we got. So let's say we want to throw this on, right? Attack, got some HP, got some bulk, right? Never too bad to have a little bit of bulk here. See, this is crit chance to crit damage, bunch of wasted stats. You can have HP and attack over here instead, so definitely be on the lookout for that. You can probably modify a piece like this if you really want to, get rid of the effect resistance for like attack here. Could be pretty nice. But yeah, you want to definitely avoid like random crit rate and stuff like that. Crit rate and crit damage are worthless for her here. So a piece like this would be so good. We can put it on just to test out her overall speed at the end, but again, wasted stats, no attack stat here. You really want to still be dealing damage with her, so do keep that in mind as well, right? So if I maybe put, let's just say we put the Litica one on, right? Let's throw that one on here, and now I pretty much am locked into just going for speed. So chess pieces, you don't want crit or crit damage. You can't get attack on chess pieces, so HP and defense are pretty good here. And if I go to the necklace, definitely want attack stat on the necklace, I would say. But unfortunately, as you can see, we're kind of lacking in that department. Oh, here's a torrent piece, actually. Hey, look at that. That's a 19 speed torrent piece. Not terrible. Maybe I'll switch the weapons and stuff to something speed set based. So let's see here. We have a flat attack piece. Don't know if flat attack is the way to go here. Be very honest. Maybe I'll just slap this on for now, just to see what the attack stat will look like. It won't be good for a torrent. Actually, yeah, this looks like something that'll be good for event crafting pieces, right? You can event craft your pieces here to get her better. Let's try to get a speed torrent. Let's do this. Let's do speed torrent, and then I'll show you guys like the fastest possible build I can make, right? Let's see. Maybe this can be modified into like, let's say attack or something. Probably go for this, right? Don't want to give up too much of my speed. You know what? This actually doesn't look terrible. Could probably go for something like that. I mean, I'm losing 1 speed, but we'll see. We shall see. We already have torrent stuff. Let's go for helmet. Again, the health here can be modified into an attack if I really wanted to. So we'll put that on from the DDR, and then we'll go here. We'll see if we can get some attack stats that don't have crit. Something like this could work. I mean, not the greatest piece, but very usable. Right, definitely don't want that. Ooh, actually, hang on. This Bihu piece is looking amazing. More attack, good flat attack, a little bit less defensive stuff, but look at that. 305 speed that we can make. Not terrible. Not terrible at all. So, yeah, this is definitely something we could do, right? And that's pretty decent attack here. 3,800, that's without an artifact too, so do keep that in mind. If we put on an artifact, it could be even better. Let's just throw on an artifact. I'll put a plus 15 artifact just so you guys can gauge. And then keep in mind, you're also getting the plus 15% from the artifact itself when you're in combat. So if I put on, let's just put on a Wind Rider here, right? Why not? Hey, look, this also increases attack by 15%. Fantastic. Okay, so perfect. By the way, these artifact boosts, if you're a newer player, these artifact boosts you see here don't actually factor into your stat line here. So there you go. So now if I slapped on all those pieces again, we will see the true stat line. And of course we can adjust it just a tad bit to make it a little bit faster. Let's see, where was it? I think it was Arc Demons. We took DDR, took Litica, and then we went to this, where we got the Bihu necklace, and boot. Go for the torrent, go for speed. Got some speed here, and got some speed there, right? So there you go. I might need to hit the crafting to see if I can get some better stat lines here, but yeah, that's not too bad. Again, you can modify some of this like crit rate out here. You can modify, actually I don't really have too much to modify, honestly. Not bad. You can modify more attack here, so she can easily reach over 4K attack, right? Easily reach over 4K attack here. That's not bad. Now, if I were just going for pure, unadulterated speed, let's say you use it as an opener to push people back, right? You want that 40% combat readiness pushback. That could actually work because you could probably use her as a unit that pairs with, you know, units like MLTU, for example, who benefits from the opponent getting pushed back, right? So let's go for, I think my fastest set of gear is the stuff that's currently on Litica. So if I wasn't caring about damage and stuff at all, and let's say I was just caring about the, let's just say we're going for effectiveness here. Let's say we don't need the bulk, right? So let's just do this, and we'll throw on, I don't know, we'll keep Bihu's boot on. Look at that. So if you're going for some sort of supporty build, I can go 318 speed, which is absolutely insane, right? Again, this is Ron level gear. This is actually Ron himself that we're using as a reference. So however fast you can make a Ron right now is how fast you can make a Rinak. She is the highest base speed in the game, tied with Ron and K-Ron. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, definitely have your Zeos prepared to fight her, because otherwise things might get a little rough out there. But yeah, not too bad overall here. When it comes to her, so that was the gear. When it comes to her artifacts, right? Let's talk about artifacts and what she can use. Obviously, her own artifact, really good. She's gonna stun herself with the debuffs, right? And you definitely want her to be able to push herself up. It's pretty nice for turn cycling out of the stun. When it comes to other artifacts, obviously her own artifact in which she derived from, that was based on her, Wind Rider, pretty decent too. Increases attack, and when you defeat an enemy, you get stealth for a turn, which is also really good, and you increase the attack of yourself by 30% for one turn at the start of the next turn, right? Not too shabby, pretty decent. Just keep in mind that when you kill the opponent with her splash damage, that 7,000 fixed damage, it doesn't count. It doesn't count, won't give you stealth, okay? So do keep that in mind there. Other artifacts would be good, just like general damage artifacts. Anything that gives her just fixed attack is gonna be nice. You don't want to use Ron's artifact, it's not a great artifact in general. Wind Rider was okay that we mentioned. You can, I wouldn't necessarily go for like evasion type stuff, so I wouldn't go for things like Shepherd. Those are kind of a little bit weird. You could definitely use RNL if you just want to take multiple turns, honestly, because you get a flat 10% attack here with an extra chance to get an extra turn. So if you S2 and then you S3 and you proc RNL and then you S1, right, then you can potentially get on your next turn immediately you'll have another S2 ready, right? So you can keep cycling and stealing the stuff from your opponent, stealing their stats. The issue is this is an RNG artifact. Would you want that over something that's more guaranteed? It's really up to you and how you play. Something like Alexa's Basket could also be good. I mean, getting attack buff is great. You already get attack buff yourself with your S2, but there's a chance for a greater attack buff, and you have two chances to proc it because you have S2 and S3. At the start of the turn, you have a chance to get that greater attack buff. Could be nice. Again, not necessary, but a decent thing. Let's say you don't get her artifact, or you know, you're playing some weird build that, you know, you have immunity or something for your team, she's not going to get stunned, you don't really want that artifact on her, you don't really care about the stealth, she's pretty bulky, greater attack buff here could be a pretty decent option, right? Secret Art Storm Sword, also not terrible. Obviously it requires your opponent to use a non-attack skill, but being able to push up your combat readiness and kind of cut your opponent sometimes, also not bad. And also you have a chance to increase your attack stat, right? So again, not terrible, but it depends on the turn order and how you're going to play. Are you going to S3 first, or are you going to S2 first, right? You have the options there. But overall, I mean, things like Dust Devil could be alright if you're just trying to go for like a super budget. Maybe you're a newer player, you really want Rinak and you don't have a 5-star artifact. Dust Devil could be okay for attacking twice on her S1. Yeah, Aaliyah's Knife definitely not needed because she already penetrates target's defense fully. But yeah, those are pretty much all the relevant artifacts that I'd say. Definitely go for hers if you want to be using her. I think her artifact is pretty good for her. Obviously, again, if you have Wind Rider, you're chilling, you're pretty solid, and RNL too, right? Those are like probably my top 3 recommendations for her. And if you don't get her artifact through summoning, you can always go to the powder shop and then buy the artifacts there, because whatever units on Raid Up has their artifact available in the shop. Just go over here to the Powders of Knowledge and then you can buy the artifacts there, just like I did for Fire Crow. But anyway, that is going to be it for Rinak and her preview. Let me know what you guys think about her in the comment section down below. I am so excited. I'm so excited to be pulling for her. I can't wait to try her out in RTA. So if you want to see her in action, do be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.